Silence. Oppressive, suffocating silence. It was a silence that seemed to seep into every corner of the room, filling the space with an almost tangible weight. The kind of silence that makes you acutely aware of your own heartbeat, your own breathing, and the emptiness that surrounds you. It filled the opulent living room, mocking me with its emptiness. The grandeur of the room, with its lavish furnishings and exquisite decor, only served to highlight the void. It was as if the room itself was a reflection of my own life, beautiful on the outside, but hollow within. My reflection stared back from the grand piano, a porcelain doll in a gilded cage. The polished surface of the piano mirrored my image perfectly, capturing the sadness in my eyes, the forced grace in my posture. I was a prisoner in my own life, trapped by the very luxuries that were supposed to bring me joy. Charles was late again. Or perhaps he wasn't coming at all. The clock's ticking was a cruel reminder of the hours slipping away, each second a testament to my growing isolation. I had lost count of the number of times I had waited for him, only to be met with disappointment. Another business dinner. Another excuse. The table was set meticulously, each detail perfect, yet it was all for naught. The empty chair across from me was a stark symbol of my loneliness, a constant reminder of the promises broken and the love that had faded. Another night of hollow echoes in this mansion in my gilded prison. The vastness of the mansion, once a source of pride, now felt like a cavernous void. The echoes of my footsteps were the only sounds that accompanied me, a haunting symphony of solitude. How long had it been since I felt truly seen, truly heard? The days blurred together, each one indistinguishable from the last. I longed for a connection, for someone to understand the depths of my despair, to see beyond the facade I presented to the world. Since my laughter wasn't a performance, my smile not a mask, I had become an expert at hiding my true feelings, at presenting a picture of perfection to the outside world. But inside, I was crumbling, my spirit withering away under the weight of my own deception. It was around then, amidst the suffocating loneliness, that Father John entered my life. His presence was unexpected, a ray of light piercing through the darkness that had enveloped me. He brought with him a sense of hope, a promise of something more, a beacon of warmth in the cold, sterile confines of my existence. Father John had a way of making the world seem a little less bleak, his kindness a balm to my wounded soul. He saw me, truly saw me, in a way that no one else had. It was different, Father John. There was a sincerity in his eyes, a genuine concern that was both comforting and disarming. He didn't just offer platitudes, he offered understanding, a rare and precious gift in my world of superficiality. He saw through the facade, the carefully constructed walls I'd built around my heart. With each conversation, he chipped away at the barriers I had erected, revealing the vulnerable, aching person beneath. It was both terrifying and liberating. He listened, really listened, with an empathy that sent shivers down my spine. His attention was unwavering, his understanding profound. In his presence, I felt a sense of validation, a recognition of my pain that I had longed for. He made me feel alive. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, I experienced a glimmer of joy, a spark of life. Father John had given me a gift beyond measure, the gift of being seen, of being heard, of being understood. The confessional box was small, cramped, suffocating. The wooden walls seemed to close in on me, the air thick with the scent of old varnish and incense. It was a place designed for secrets, for whispered confessions, for the soul's deepest burdens to be laid bare. Yet, within its confines, I found solace. The dim light filtering through the grille felt like a beacon in the darkness of my life. It was here, in this sacred space, that I could finally breathe, unburden my heart, and seek the comfort I so desperately needed. I confessed my sins, my doubts, my fears. Each word was a release, a step towards healing. I spoke of the emptiness that gnawed at my soul, the void that seemed to grow with each passing day. I shared my deepest regrets, the moments of weakness that haunted me, and the dreams that had turned to dust. The emptiness of my marriage, the yearning for a love I thought I'd never know. I spoke of the nights spent in silence, the arguments that left me feeling more alone than ever. The love that once burned bright had faded, leaving behind only ashes and a longing for something more. Father, I whispered, my voice trembling, I feel so lost, so alone. The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of my despair. I felt the tears well up, blurring my vision, as I waited for a response, for some sign that I wasn't completely adrift.
You are not alone, my child. His voice, a soothing balm on my raw soul. His words were gentle, filled with compassion and understanding. It was as if he could see into the depths of my heart, recognizing the pain and offering a lifeline. God is with you, always. His presence is a constant, even when you feel most abandoned. These words, simple yet profound, began to weave a tapestry of hope within me. They were a reminder that I was never truly alone, that there was a higher power watching over me.
But God felt distant, an abstract concept in my gilded cage. My life, though outwardly perfect, felt like a prison. The expectations, the roles I had to play, all seemed to keep me from truly connecting with the divine. I longed for a tangible sign, something real to hold on to. Father John, however, was tangible, real. His presence was a beacon of light in my dark world. He listened without judgment, offering wisdom and guidance that felt like a lifeline. His compassion was a mirror, reflecting the love and understanding I so desperately needed. His words resonated deep within me, awakening something I thought had long slumbered. It was as if a part of me, long buried under layers of pain and disappointment, was beginning to stir. His voice, his presence, brought a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. A flicker of hope in the desolate landscape of my heart. This hope, fragile yet persistent, began to take root. It was a small light in the darkness, a promise of better days to come. It reminded me that even in the bleakest of times, there is always a chance for renewal. And with each confession, each shared secret, each whispered fear, the line blurred. The confessional became more than just a place of penance. It was a sanctuary, a space where I could be my truest self. The boundaries between confessor and confidant began to dissolve, replaced by a deep, abiding connection. The line between confessor and confidant, between solace and sin. In this sacred space, I found not just forgiveness, but understanding. The confessional was no longer just a place of repentance, but a sanctuary where my soul could find rest, where my heart could begin to heal. His touch was electric, a spark that ignited a wildfire in my soul. Our first kiss, stolen in the shadows of the church, tasted of forbidden fruit, of desperation and longing. We were both lost, adrift in a sea of guilt and desire. Our encounters, clandestine meetings fueled by stolen moments and whispered promises. He was my escape, my sanctuary from the suffocating reality of my life. But with every stolen kiss, every touch, the guilt gnawed at me, the weight of our sin, an oppressive burden on my soul. Was this love, or a dangerous obsession, fueled by our loneliness and desperation?
This cannot continue, Sarah. His voice, usually so calm and reassuring, was laced with a desperation that mirrored my own.
I know, I whispered, my voice choked with unshed tears. But I can't let you go. We were caught in a web of our own making, bound by a love that was both exhilarating and destructive. The guilt was a constant shadow, lurking in the corners of our stolen moments.
We are playing with fire, Sarah. This will destroy us both.
He was right, of course. Our affair was a betrayal of everything we held sacred. A sin against God, against ourselves. But how could something that felt so right, so necessary, be so wrong? The argument exploded between us, a tempest of repressed emotions and unspoken fears. I accused him of hypocrisy, of leading me down this path only to abandon me.
He countered with reason, with logic, with the fear of God's wrath. But reason held no sway over the storm raging within me.
Why, John? I cried, my voice raw with pain. Why show me a love I never knew existed, only to rip it away?
He reached for me, his touch hesitant, his eyes filled with a pain that mirrored my own. But I flinched away, the sting of his rejection still too fresh. He left that night, his footsteps echoing in the silence, leaving me alone with the shattered remnants of our forbidden love.
The church was eerily silent. Father John, a constant presence in my life, was gone, vanished without a trace. They said he'd left, disappeared without a word, but I didn't believe it. Not for a moment. Something was wrong. A cold dread settled in my stomach, a premonition of something sinister.
Where could he be? Had something happened to him? The guilt, already a heavy burden, intensified, crushing me under its weight.
Detective James, a man of sharp edges and even sharper eyes, arrived at my doorstep. He questioned me about Father John, his gaze unwavering, his demeanor professional yet strangely unsettling.
Mrs. Ashton, were you aware of any reason Father John might leave so suddenly?
I lied, of course. I spun a tale of a kind priest, a pillar of the community, a man with no enemies. But even as I spoke, I could see the skepticism in his eyes. He knew, I realized with a chilling certainty. He knew about us. Days turned into weeks, each one filled with gnawing anxiety. The police investigation yielded no answers. Father John had vanished, swallowed whole by the shadows. Detective James, however, remained a constant presence. He seemed to be everywhere, a spectre haunting my waking hours. I knew he suspected me, his sharp eyes observing my every move. And as the days turned into weeks, I began to suspect him as well. Was he truly investigating Father John's disappearance, or was there something more, something darker, at play? He confronted me at last, Detective James, not in the sterile confines of the police station, but in the hushed sanctuary of the church. He's gone, isn't he? I whispered, my voice betraying the fear that clawed at my throat.
He is, but not in the way you think.
He revealed the truth then, a truth more shocking, more devastating than I could have imagined. Father John hadn't been taken, hadn't been hurt. He had chosen to disappear, to stage his own vanishing act, to protect me. I was faced with a choice. Remain silent, protect Father John's sacrifice, and live a lie. The crossroads before me were not just physical, but deeply emotional and moral. Each path represented a different future, a different version of myself. The silence was deafening, and the weight of the decision was almost unbearable. Or confess everything, face the consequences, and potentially destroy the man who had given up everything for me. The thought of confession was terrifying. It meant exposing secrets that had been buried for so long, secrets that could shatter lives and reputations. The fear of the unknown, of the repercussions, gnawed at my soul. The weight of the decision pressed down on me, suffocating me. My breath caught in my throat, my heart pounded against my ribs. Every heartbeat was a reminder of the gravity of the situation. The walls seemed to close in, and the air felt thick with tension. It was as if the universe was holding its breath, waiting for my next move. What was I to do? S3. Media. Person looking confused or lost, person questioning themselves, individual looking up, seeking answers. He said you were the only good thing in his life. Those words echoed in my mind, a constant reminder of the love and sacrifice Father John had shown me. He had always been my rock, my guiding light in the darkest of times. He couldn't bear to see you destroyed because of him. S1. Media. Church interior, empty and quiet, echoing church with a lonely figure. Person sitting alone in a church pew. His words echoed in the vast emptiness of the church, each syllable a blow to the fragile remnants of my heart. The church, once a place of solace and peace, now felt like a cavern of despair. The memories of happier times seemed like distant dreams. He'd sacrificed everything for me. His faith, his reputation, his very essence. The magnitude of his sacrifice was overwhelming. It was a testament to his love and dedication, a love that knew no bounds. Every moment of his life had been a testament to his unwavering commitment to my well-being. His faith, his reputation, his freedom. He had given up everything that defined him, everything that he held dear. The weight of his sacrifice was a constant reminder of the depth of his love. It was a love that transcended the ordinary, a love that was pure and selfless. Detective James had found evidence, a letter, a confession of sorts. The letter was a window into Father John's soul, a glimpse into his innermost thoughts and fears. It was a confession that revealed the depth of his sacrifice and the burden he had carried for so long. Father John had entrusted him with the truth, with the burden of protecting me. The detective's role was not just to uncover the truth, but to protect the innocent. He had become a guardian of secrets, a keeper of the fragile balance between truth and deception. The weight of this responsibility was immense, and the consequences of his actions would ripple through the lives of everyone involved. The Crossroads were not just a place of decision, but a symbol of the journey ahead. Each path represented a different future, a different version of myself. The silence was deafening, and the weight of the decision was almost unbearable. The thought of confession was terrifying. It meant exposing secrets that had been buried for so long, secrets that could shatter lives and reputations. The fear of the unknown, of the repercussions, gnawed at my soul. Every heartbeat was a reminder of the gravity of the situation. The walls seemed to close in, and the air felt thick with tension. It was as if the universe was holding its breath, waiting for my next move. Those words echoed in my mind, a constant reminder of the love and sacrifice Father John had shown me. He had always been my rock, my guiding light in the darkest of times. The church, once a place of solace and peace, now felt like a cavern of despair. The memories of happier times seemed like distant dreams. His faith, his reputation, his very essence. The magnitude of his sacrifice was overwhelming. It was a testament to his love and dedication, a love that knew no bounds. Every moment of his life had been a testament to his unwavering commitment to my well-being. He had given up everything that defined him, everything that he held dear. The weight of his sacrifice was a constant reminder of the depth of his love. It was a love that transcended the ordinary, a love that was pure and selfless. The letter was a window into Father John's soul, a glimpse into his innermost thoughts and fears. It was a confession that revealed the depth of his sacrifice and the burden he had carried for so long. The detective's role was not just to uncover the truth, but to protect the innocent. He had become a guardian of secrets, keeper of the fragile balance between truth and deception. The weight of this responsibility was immense, and the consequences of his actions would ripple through the lives of everyone involved.